In the heart of the African village of Inyanza lived a young princess whose life should have been filled with fairy tales. But sadly, that wasn't the case. Her life was turned upside down when her mother, Queen Amara, died, leaving her heartbroken and alone with her father, King Ajani. Before Queen Amara passed away, she had ruled with her husband, King Ajani. They ruled with a kindness and wisdom which earned the love of the people. But as the sun sets on even the brightest day, darkness fell over Nyanza. Queen Amara fell sick, and despite the best efforts of the village healers, her condition worsened and she died. But before her death, she made her husband promise to care for their daughter, Princess Zuri, with all his heart. King Ajani was broken-hearted and spent a long time mourning his late wife. But as time went on, he knew he had to move forward for the sake of his people and his beloved daughter, Princess Zuri. Also, the kingdom needed stability, and he needed companionship to fill the emptiness left by the passing of Queen Amara. It was during this time that he met a woman called Nasara. The villagers celebrated when King Ajani announced his plans to marry Nasara. They hoped this marriage would bring happiness back into the king's life. Nasara was a very beautiful woman, but underneath Nasara's beauty was a heart full of jealousy and selfishness. From the moment she stepped into the royal palace, she became envious of Princess Zuri. She hated the princess because she saw her as a threat to her position as queen. Nasara quickly realized that to secure her position and power, she had to diminish Zuri in the eyes of the king and the villagers. She needed to tear Zuri down to make her seem unworthy of her role as princess and the heir to the throne. Nasara's jealousy was like a snake, coiled and ready to attack anyone who stood in her way. Each day, her hatred for Princess Zuri intensified. Nasara came up with a smart plan. Her plan was to pretend to teach Zuri humility. In actual fact, all she wanted was to strip the princess of her self-worth. One night, Nasara decided to put her agenda into action. She went to Ajani with her idea. She proposed that Zuri needed to learn the value of hard work and humility to prepare her to be a better ruler one day. King Ajani, who was still sad and wanting to trust his new wife's good motives, gave his approval. He believed in Nasara's wisdom and told her to do what she thought was right. The very next day, Nasara started her campaign of cruelty. She took away Zuri's royal clothes and made her wear the same plain clothes as the servants did. The young princess, who was used to palace comforts, was forced to live like one of the servants in the palace. Nasara gave her the toughest jobs. She had to clean the palace floor till her hands hurt, get water from the far-off river in the hot sun, and look after the animals without any rest. Zuri endured the bad treatment without complaining. She believed that her father would see through Nasara's act and put a stop to it. She worked hard, hoping her efforts would show her value, but each day Nasara gave her new challenges. Nasara watched with joy as the once proud princess did the work of a common maid. One morning, as Zuri was cleaning the courtyard, Nasara came up to her with a bucket of dirty water. "You missed a spot," she said. She poured the bucket over the clean floor, splashing mud all over Zuri's dress. Zuri's eyes filled with tears. "I'll clean it again, stepmother." Nasara's mouth twisted in wicked grin. But Nasara's deceit didn't end with her cruelty. She knew that hard work by itself wouldn't be enough to destroy Zuri. She also needed to turn the villagers against her. So, with a sharp mind and smooth talk, Nasara started to spread horrible rumors about Zuri. She whispered to anyone who would listen and portrayed Zuri as a pampered, dishonest girl who had no respect for ordinary people. Bit by bit, the villagers started to buy into the falsehoods. Their love for Zuri changed to mistrust and contempt. They stopped welcoming her with grins and nice comments and instead gossiped about her behind her back. Zuri saw the shift in the behavior of the villagers, but she couldn't understand why. She felt the icy looks and heard the gossip, but she didn't know what had caused them to become so hostile. King Ajani, who was blinded by his love for Nasara, did nothing to protect his daughter. He believed Nasara's lies, thinking that Zuri was indeed becoming spoiled and arrogant. When Nasara suggested that Zuri's chores should be increased to teach her further humility, he agreed without question. Until one night, under the cover of darkness, disaster struck the village of Nyanza. The sacred beads were stolen from the royal palace. The beads, which had been passed down from generation to generation, were very special to the village of Nyanza. The people believed that the beads kept the village safe, made crops grow, and protected everyone from harm. So when the villagers found out that the beads were gone, fear spread through Nyanza like wildfire. "We are finished without the beads," a woman cried, holding her kids tight. "Who could have done this?" a man said, not believing what had happened. When King Ajani heard the news, he rushed to the shrine, with Nasara and a reluctant Zuri close behind. As they were all standing there talking and wondering about what they were going to do, Nasara saw an opportunity and seized it. She moved forward. "This is a serious crime," she said, her voice rising above the crowd's whispers. "We need to find and punish the person who did this." Nasara then looked at Zuri. "Zuri," she said in an accusing tone, "you were the last to leave the shrine yesterday. Do you know anything about this?" Zuri looked at her with surprise. "No, stepmother, I don't. I would never." But Nasara quickly cut her off, speaking louder. "You've been acting strangely lately, distancing yourself from the village, and you had the opportunity. Could it be that you wanted the beads for yourself?" Disbelief and suspicion spread through the crowd. Zuri saw doubt and distrust in the villagers' eyes. Her heart raised and tears filled her eyes. "I swear I didn't take them," she begged. But Nasara's persistent accusations drowned out her voice. King Ajani, still shocked by the theft, looked at his daughter with confusion and sadness. "Zuri, is this true?" he asked. "No, father, I would never do such a thing," Zuri cried. Nasara took a step toward the king, grabbing her chance. "Ajani, the facts speak for themselves. Zuri was the last person to leave the shrine. We need to act fast to bring back the village's trust in us, otherwise they will think you are a weak leader. We can't go easy on anyone, not even our own family." King Ajani felt pulled in two directions: his love for his daughter and his duty to keep things in order. He gave a slow nod. "Until we uncover the truth, we have to send Zuri away from the kingdom into the forbidden forest. We can't let the village fall apart." Zuri's heart ached when she heard her father speak. The villagers quickly pulled her from the shrine and took her to the village's border and pushed her into the thick, scary forest around Nyanza. The forest was a scary place to be. It was filled with old trees and sounds from animals that one couldn't see. Growing up, Zuri had listened to stories about the dangers in the forest, and now she found herself facing these dangers all alone. The forest became her new home. Palace life with its cozy rooms became a distant memory. Days and nights blurred together as Zuri settled into a routine of staying alive. She would rise with the dawn, her body stiff and sore, and begin to search for food and water. She found shelter in caves and under thick clusters of leaves. Each day was a test of her resilience and willpower. She felt cold at night, and the days seemed to go on forever. But she kept going, determined to find a way to clear her name. She hoped and prayed every day that she would survive long enough for the truth to come out. Meanwhile, back in the village, Nasara celebrated her victory. She had succeeded in turning both the king and the villagers against Zuri, clearing the path to her own power grab. She knew the village would grow desperate without the beads, and she planned to exploit this desperation to her advantage. But Elder Juma, a man with a lot of wisdom, couldn't shake off a nagging feeling that something was wrong. One evening, as the sun started to set, Elder Juma walked to the sacred grove, a peaceful spot where villagers often went to find comfort and clear their minds. As he tended to the sacred grove, he heard voices. Curious, he crept towards the sound. Hiding behind a thick cluster of trees, he spotted two figures, Nasara and Bakari, King Ajani's brother. Are you sure the villagers believe our story? Bakari spoke. Nasara grinned. Zuri's exile has everyone thinking she stole the beads. The girl is gone, and Ajani is too heartbroken and in love to see what's going on. Elder Juma felt his heart race as she made sense of what he had heard. He moved closer to catch every word. Good, Bakari said. Zuri's absence leaves no heir to the throne. We must carry out the next stage of our plan. After we remove Ajani, I will claim the throne and you will be my queen. Nasara laughed. Ajani's days are numbered. The sacred beads were just the beginning. The people will need help and we will give them a new leader. We will govern Nyanza as one. Juma felt his mind racing. The plot had a more sinister nature than he had thought. He knew he needed to take action soon, but he also needed to exercise caution. He couldn't confront them directly. As the conspirators changed the subject, Juma inched backward. He had to tell King Ajani. The village needed to see the truth for themselves. Elder Juma rushed through to the palace. He knew every second counted. Any delay could bring the kingdom closer to trouble. At the palace entrance, Juma asked to see the king right away. The guards led him to the throne room without delay. King Ajani, still shaken by the recent events, looked up with a mix of wonder and worry. Your Majesty, I have news that can't wait, Juma said. King Ajani motioned him to go on. Talk, Juma, what's so urgent? Juma took a deep breath and told him everything he had heard in the sacred grove. The plot of betrayal by Nasara and Prince Bakari, their theft of the sacred beads, and their scheme to grab the throne. As he talked, the king's face changed from doubt to rage and then to deep, heavy sorrow. How could this occur in my own house? Ajani whispered. I've been blind to their lies. We need to act fast, Your Majesty, Juma said. We can't let them avoid punishment. King Ajani stood up. Guards! He shouted, his voice ringing through the halls. Arrest Nasara and Prince Bakari now. They have betrayed us all. The guards rushed to follow the king's commands. Nasara and Bakara, taken by surprise, were caught and brought to the king. The villagers who had gathered outside the palace watched with a mix of relief and anger as the traitors faced justice. Nasara and Bakari were both shocked and surprised when they were brought before the king. King Ajani told them that Elder Juma had accused them of stealing the sacred beads, blaming the theft on Zuri, and plotting to take the throne from him. Nasara and Bakari both denied the accusations immediately. They tried to convince the king that they were loyal and would never betray him. They both pleaded that there must be some mistake. But King Ajani was not convinced, as he revealed to them that Elder Juma had heard everything that they said in the sacred grove. The room became silent as they realized that their secret was out. They instantly turned on each other in a desperate bid to save themselves. It was Nasara's idea, Bakari shouted, pointing at her with an accusing finger. She convinced me to steal the beads. She wanted power and promised me the throne if I helped her. Nasara's eyes widened with fury and panic. Liar! It was Bakari who came up with a plan to steal the beads and frame Zuri. He knew you were too blinded by grief to see through his schemes. King Ajani watched in silence as the two of them continued to throw accusations at one another. He raised his hand for silence and told them that their lies and betrayal had done enough damage to the kingdom and his family. King Ajani spoke with icy determination as he faced them. Nasara and Bakari, you have committed crimes against our kingdom and betrayed our trust. As punishment, I banish you from Nyanza. You will never set foot in this land again. Nasara and Bakari, with pale faces full of fear, were taken away as their pleas for mercy went unheard. The villagers cheered. A feeling of justice spread across the land again. After handling the immediate danger, King Ajani shifted his attention to locating his daughter. He knew he needed to patch things up and bring her home. He summoned his most loyal guards and gave them a clear command. Look through the forest, find my daughter, and return her to me. The guards packed essentials and entered the thick forest. They spent days and nights searching the wild woods, shouting Zuri's name and following any clues of where she might be. The guards kept looking for days without stopping. At last, they found her. Zuri lay next to a stream, tired and weak from her time alone. Her once lively spirit had faded due to the tough life she had endured. Her clothes were ripped, and her body showed signs of her fight to stay alive. Yet her eyes, though tired, still had a tiny glimmer of hope. Princess Zuri, a guard shouted, hurrying to her. We found you. The guards felt relieved. They picked her up and carried her through the forest. As they neared the palace, news of Zuri's return spread fast. Villagers gathered. They were happy to hear the news. King Ajani stood at the palace entrance, waiting for her daughter. When he saw the guards carrying her towards him, he felt happy and sorry at the same time. Zuri, he shouted, running up as they set her down. He dropped to his knees next to her, with tears flowing down his cheeks. My child, I'm sorry for everything you went through. Zuri reached out and said, Father, I forgive you. I always believed you would discover the truth. King Ajani hugged her, his heart overflowing with a blend of grief and comfort. You are back home now, Zuri. You are back. The villagers shouted with joy. The princess had come back. Justice had prevailed, and good had overcome evil. King Ajani and Princess Zuri joined forces to bring back peace in Nyanza. The tale of the evil stepmother and the brave princess became a treasured story, told to each new generation to remind them of how strong love is and how good always beats evil. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the story. Please like and subscribe. It helps us grow our channel. See you in the next one. Bye.